Yeah, I could hear myself.
Okay. So, ¿lo vas a querer hacer en inglés o en español?
English, ¿no?
Hablo aquí.
Yeah.
Hablo así.
¿Cómo?
Aquí.
I am
Okay.
talking into it.
Bueno, a ver, habla y checa ahí.
¿Qué, Checo?
Es que tu voz está más. ¿Habla?
¿Qué?
1, 2, 3, probando,
Oh.
probando.
1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. There you go. You made me sound like a man. Well, hello.
Ok. So, ¿de qué vas a querer hablar?
I thought you had
Sí, pero es para... So, va a ser en inglés o en español.
in English. I don't know why you're talking Spanish.
Ok.
Most of my followers are English speakers. Why are you laughing? Hi. What? You're
Pues
like
ya.
sitting so far away from me como si me tienes miedo.
No, es que necesito que te hagas para acá para que
Oh, okay.
entres.
There you go.
Cuidado,
And
no
then I go
vas,
like this.
no vas a romper mis sillas,
Hurry up.
Que no más me alcanza para los micrófonos.
I saw that. Hurry.
Ok, son en inglés, ¿verdad?
Sí. Te va a costar un huevo hablar inglés.
Okay, so, welcome back to your channel,
Yeah.
our channel. We're gonna start doing this more often. Why? Because we believe that we can help out a lot of people, a lot of couples.
Yeah.
We're not saying we're the best, but I think we
Definitely
can
not.
help out some people out. Help out some people out. ¿Lo dices?
Help.
Okay. So tú introduce, órale, háblales tú.
Well, welcome back to my channel, guys. If y'all have followed me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. I know some people came from Snapchat. I don't really use that stream anymore, social media stream anymore. But my name is Angel. This is Jose Luis Cruz Contreras. This is now my fiance, Oila. And yeah, this is my channel. So welcome back.
Our channel.
Our channel, dang. But yeah, like I have been really inconsistent on YouTube. So Jose had this great idea of like making a podcast. I just feel like if I'm not pushed to do something, especially right now with my career and just the whole wedding and stuff going on, it's just a lot for me to do everything at the same time and then still be a mom. I'm like, yeah, so I needed to be pushed to do this. So here I am, pushed. Once again.
Okay, so what do you want to talk about? Okay, so we recently joined a community group for church, and it's a couples group, and it's couples that are around our age, what, 25 to 30, I think, and
No, I would say like 35.
35, 32,
Yeah, around there.
and they have kids, and they're married.
A lot of kids.
We're not married, but we're almost there. But anyways, they put us there. And I think God does things for a reason. And I think he put us there because there's a reason. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So what I wanted to talk about, we're going to meet up tomorrow. The guys only. And then the girls are going to meet up with the girls. And then we're on our group chat. We came up with, I came up with an idea. Where's my group? Espérame. Anyways, we asked. Well, I told him we should start. We should come up with a topic. And men's group right here. And I said, I think a lot of couples need help here. And let me see. Okay, this is a question for Angel, okay? And so I said, we need to discuss partner communication and understanding belief systems. As men, we often settle in a comfort zone and we overlook the importance of communicating with our partners. We forget to ask crucial questions and fail to recognize that our relationship evolves over time because we're growing as a human being. Goals and dreams may shift, and it's essential to regularly assess our partner's emotional needs. Um, and then the reason why I want to talk about that is because effective communication is vital for comprehending our partner's belief system. Understanding why they are who they are is the key to navigating life's challenges together as a couple and overcoming past traumas.
Dang. But that's like 7 topics in one.
No. No,
you're saying why you think
topic.
It's important.
Yeah, and
Okay.
that's the reason why I want to talk about that. So the question is, how do you think that we as a couple have evolved, and how have we shifted our goals and dreams, and how have you coped with it?
Okay, first question though.
Okay, so in every relationship there's levels.
Yeah.
Right? For instance, at the beginning we just like each other and we're just gonna want to have sex and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, sure.
That's what you wanted.
Shut up. In Jesus' name.
No.
It wasn't in Jesus' name. Hurry up.
Okay, and then after that, we started living together.
Yeah.
And then you started getting to really know me.
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
Jesus, te va a meter el infierno.
¿Y luego?
Ciérrale ahí, por favor.
No.
Sí.
Okay.
Estoy sudando. Why am I sweating?
Because you always get nervous.
No, es que está caliente aquí.
Well, I'm sick. You can't put on that.
Okay, and then after that, you got to know me.
Yeah.
And then we there was differences.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't like this, I don't like that. Why? Because all that puppy love ended, and now you actually get to see who I really was. You got to see who I really was. After that, you decide either I stay or should I leave? Should I talk about it? Like, what do you think was our biggest conflict or differences?
Maybe one of them.
And after that, of course, how were we able to communicate to each other about those conflicts or differences?
Well, I think one of the biggest conflicts that we have dealt with, well, recently or like just in general?
In general.
So one of the biggest conflicts is just like the way we communicate. I feel like you're very analytic and you see like stuff as what it really is, and I'm more emotionally involved just in general. So communicating in that way was very difficult in the beginning. Like, for example, in the beginning, we're talking about like 4 years ago, maybe even longer, 6 years ago, me and you were talking very like, I wanna, and this is mine, and in my future, and in when I buy my house, and then like just communicating that to me, how it wasn't that I wanted you to start saying like our stuff, like this is my stuff. I mean, our stuff, like together we're gonna do this stuff. Like that was very difficult to bring up that conversation, just because in my head I'm like, that's common sense. But it isn't common sense to a man that for a long time is like, well, in my logical thinking, I'm taking you with me. But in my background, I'm thinking, I still want to hear it for reassurance because I'm thinking from an emotional point of view. And you're thinking of like, well, obviously if I'm going there, you're going with me. But I didn't want to feel like I was just like a rag doll getting dragged into like all your plans. And I kind of felt like, where do I stand, you know? Okay. But then once we talked about it and I was like, hey, like you constantly talk about like me, my goals, my vision, like where do I stand and all of that. He's like, well, all of that is around your vision.
Yeah,
But
yeah, and I think it was because at that time, to me, it was common sense. I was probably thinking, well, she should know that, right? But I never worded it. Worded it?
sure.
I worded it like that. But I learned throughout time that even at my workplace, a lot of times we ask people, hey, you should do that. What are you going to do to fix it and stuff like that. And then I learned that once you become a team at your workplace, and not only at your workplace, or in your relationship, then everything becomes easier. And then that's when I started using the we, and I from we, it's
Very different.
very different, and it comes out way better.
Intention. Yeah.
Yes.
And I didn't feel like I was just getting dragged into someone else's vision, someone else's dream. But I feel like that reassurance comes from a very emotional point of view. And then when I started seeing the way you thought through things, I was like, okay, I need to also not shift the way I think, but also understand where you're coming from, and just opening up my way of like analyzing things to more from your viewpoint than just being so emotional about everything also. One of the other biggest struggles was, I think, like, you came into a part of my life where I was going through a lot. My parents' divorce, my divorce, and then I didn't want to drag you into that situation. So there was a point in our first beginnings where I was like, I don't think you deserve this, and I should just stay away, because we've talked about this before on YouTube, at least in our previous videos, like how we can be kind of selfish, and you can't be what can you offer into a relationship if you're not even a complete person yourself? So, like, it's como el decir in Spanish, like, de un loco se hacen dos. So I was like, here I am in my hot mess, and here's this person that I don't really know much about, because at that point in life, I didn't know a lot about you. But I was like, just as a simple human being,
That's not right.
that's not right. Yeah, it isn't right. So, and I think that a lot of people don't see that when they're first dating. Like, who am I as a person? Can I even like go and sit and eat and have a serious conversation within myself and know who I am and stand on who I am? And like, I feel like when you first start meeting someone, you let go of those boundaries. You don't think of anybody else but yourself, because you're like, I want sex. I want to have a good time. Like, I want to not think about my past. I want to get over my ex and la la la, or like darle la madre, or whatever the case may be. And then you don't think of the other person that is involved in that, and like their emotional state, or the stuff that you could get into, just because you're being a fucked up person within yourself. So I feel like sometimes when people are starting off their relationships, they don't think about that. They aren't a whole person to where they can stand on who they are and their values. And I think we did that probably like 6 months in, where we were like, hey, these are my values. And then constantly asking the question, like, why are they their value? Why are they your values? Like, that was important.
One time she asked me, when was the time when you were like, oh, I think I can love her.
I think.
No, she asked me when was it that you were like, oh, I love her. I really want to pursue this journey with her. And I told her that it was one day that we sat down, and I learned about a process to know why you are who you are. And we usually have traumas when we were kids, and that kind of tells you, or that's how you start forming yourself as a human being, by the traumas that you have as a kid. Anyways, I started asking her, well, like, what do you want to do? It's called the seven whys deep, and just keep asking why, but of course you gotta add little things here and there. And then I saw why she was who she was, and yeah, like, she opened up to me, and not a lot of people can do that. Like, not a lot of people can ask those questions, or not a lot of people are willing to be open and answer those questions. And that's when I was like, ooh, she's showing me her real self, or her
in a very vulnerable
state.
And
I was like, yeah, I can deal with this. And yeah, I mean, that's when I was like, yeah, I'll make her mine. Nalguita.
You swear. But also that comes with, I guess, a maturity and like just knowing exactly like what I just said. You have to know who you are, because how are you going to sit there and be vulnerable with someone if you don't even know how to be vulnerable? Like we've talked about, like even now growing together in a relationship, both of us, because we're still obviously, like we said, we're not perfect. We still go through a lot of things, and there's times that we still have to say, hey, pump the brakes. Like, let's go back to what we talked about. Like, oh, you're not being vulnerable right now, or you're being like conflicting to my values. But just like what I was saying, you have to know who you are as a person. And if you're being this incomplete person, who are you offering to your partner? And it's not that you want to come in like a full package either, because that's never going to happen. You're not going to be this perfect person. You're like, well, I'm perfect and he's perfect, and now we're going to be perfect together. That's not what I mean. What I mean is like, if you know that, like, let's say like I came from a very abusive relationship. I was like, I don't want that. I came from instability. I came from a broken family. I obviously, Analia is not his. So I was like, my values stand strong on stability, and my values stand strong on being like who I am, having a relationship that kind of set me truly for who I am. Because I felt like just in the past, and like what he's saying, like a lot of those things come from traumas. Like your values truly do come from traumas. You don't know who you are until you've been who you don't want to be. So I think that's super deep. Like you don't know what you want until you've had what you don't, and you're like, I don't want this anymore. So like I knew what it was to be in an abusive relationship, and I was like, I don't want that. I want a man that is confident, that can get what he wants without using strength or using abuse. And I was like, I want stability because I've never had it, and I wanted a family because obviously mine was broken. And I also wanted someone that can be truthful to me and honest, and also respect the fact that like, hey, we're in a relationship, and infidelity is an absolute not. So those are like my strongest three values. I was like, I want stability, I want honesty, and of course faithfulness, and then I want my family. And I think that like once you could be vulnerable enough to say like, this is what I want, and you stand on that, if your other person is not going to respect those three values, please do not expect them to respect you as a person. Because when they're disrespecting your values, and you know that they're clear red flags when they're disrespecting them, don't expect them to respect you, or you folding those values because you're like, well, I love them and we've been through so much, and it's okay if they disrespect the fact of infidelity. Like I mean, I told them I'm one of my values with faithfulness, but if they disrespect it once, like, it's okay. Like, no, it's not okay. Like, you voice them. What are you gonna continue to do? Keep voicing them? Like, this is my values, you keep breaking them. Like, I'm so for forgiveness, but like, if you voice them and your partner respects you enough to for you to be vulnerable, and then still goes and disrespects you when you're in a vulnerable state, and then clearly what you stated in the beginning of your relationship, I just don't know what you expect from there on forward. And that's very, like, it's just a slap to your face. I don't know what else, like, what would be your advice to some person like that? I think you would just need to sit down with yourself and just reanalyze, like, damn, I straight up just disrespected myself by letting someone disrespect my values. And comprehend that first before judging the other person. Because I can't, like, let's say Jose Luis was unfaithful to me, I cannot be like, this is all his fault. This is like, there's clearly something, like, his why. I always want to know, like, his why. Like, why did you do that? Like, not keep repeating to myself what you did. No, I want to know what was your core reason of why you did what you did, and I want you to hear how it disrespected me. So after that, I kind of sit down and analyze to myself, like, damn, like, is this worthy of me to continue with this if he's disrespecting my values? Hence, that hasn't happened yet, thank God. But like, not my three core values. Not my three core values. Yet. But I always say, like, if I wish I would have had that in the past, because I feel like I've never been one person that was like, I want everybody to be unfaithful to me. I don't want a family. Like, these are my three values. Like, I also don't think I knew who I was until I knew what I didn't want. Yeah. And after God put me in those paths of like abuse and like unfaithfulness and having broken families, I was like, damn, I know what this is and I don't want it. And from here on forward, this is my value, and I'm going to stand on first who I am. And then, like, these are my values, and you're not going to disrespect them. And when people talk about red flags, like, these are my red flags. Like, you break these, I'm done. Like, period. Like, and I think that just voicing that to your partner is so strong, because Jose voiced the same thing to me. Like, hey, I don't think I can deal with, like, infidelity and you being untruthful to me. And ever since then, like, there hasn't been a time where I'm like,
yeah, just be honest.
Yeah, like,
We're
this
humans.
is what it is. And it's not that I'm like, oh my God, if I'm unfaithful, I'm gonna lose this person, like, or that I'm scared of him. No, it's not being scared. It's just a mutual respect. And I feel like at the end of the day, yeah, you kind of are scared to lose who you are. Like, this person knows who he is, and if I disrespect it, like, I know there's no going back. Like, I feel like if there was a mutual unfaithfulness, like, I don't think we could ever go back to what it is now. It would be very difficult. Very, very difficult.
Bueno, déjame hablar.
Okay.
Let me talk. Talking too
this
much.
This is my podcast.
No.
It's my YouTube.
My equipment. Okay, and then, so let's go back to the question, right? How... Okay, well, another thing that's really important before you keep going with a relationship is you gotta talk about your goals and dreams.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
So what were your goals when we first started?
I think when we first started, my goal was to go back to nursing school. Okay. And I voiced that to you. I think when we first started dating, I was in the transit of, like, I had just applied twice to nursing school and I couldn't get in. Not because I wasn't smart enough. I actually got in, got accepted, and I voiced that to you, like, and you were like, why have you gotten accepted twice and not taken your acceptance? And I was like, because my ex won't divorce me. And you were like, so divorce him. And we go back to the same thing. Like, you think very analytical, and here I am, emotional, hot mess. And I'm like, well, that's hard. And you're like, but this is what you want. And I'm like, yeah, but he's not wanting to divorce me.
Actually, that's when I found out that she really wanted it, because I asked her those 7 whys, and then I found out that she likes to take care of people. That's what she really likes, and probably that's why she was in a really messed up situation for her first half of her life.
Damn.
So Jose came in and saved the day.
Shut up. I swear.
And yeah, that was like, okay, though. So she really wants to do this. And why am I saying this? So this is where we have to understand how sometimes you have to support your partner's dreams, and this is why. So when we first kind of started. Yeah. September. No, like when I came back from Midland.
Oh yeah.
So we bought a course for. Well, I bought a course for, and there's more to this story. We can talk about it in another episode. Joe Rogan be a good particular. Anyways, so we bought a course for real estate, and it was $75,000.
No más.
No más, tú sabes. Chillamos y todo, pero it's okay.
Not us in debt for like 2 years.
So my goal was like, let me make her a realtor, an agent. Mm-hmm. That way I can make money out of it, right? Or for her family or for her future.
Yeah.
Why? Because we spend so much money on it. So I was like, well, we need to make sure that we actually do something about this, because we're not just spending money and not making money. So I tried to do that. But then when I found out that she really didn't want to do it because she wanted to become a nurse, I was like, well, let me find out if she really wants to be a nurse. And then I found out that she really wanted to be a nurse. So I was like, well, I gotta support her if I want her to be my partner, right? And And then we go back to the time that actually the time when I found out that she was she was gonna be the one. It was because whenever I spent those $75,000 on a real estate course, nobody wanted to do it with me. I asked a friend if he wanted to go halves on it, and he said no, that's crazy, too much money, whatever. And then Angel was there, and I told her, let's do it, right?
I went home and I was like, I don't have $75,000.
Yeah, and she was just thinking, and she 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 was laying down
No, literally, it was.
like she couldn't go to sleep, right? And I was like, what's wrong? And she was like, man, you sure you want to do it? I was like, see, pues, we have to. I mean, I have to. Why? Because I really want to do something with my life, right? So I wanted to learn more about real estate. Anyways, the next day I told her, I knew I was gonna do it. I knew it. So I was looking for ways to pay for it. I used some of my money. I took out some loans, used some credit cards. I did everything to
But
do
I
it.
didn't know this.
She didn't know this.
Yeah.
Anyways,
We go the next day to the signing table, and the lady puts the folder in front of us with the amount. And I look at Jose, and he looks at me, and he's like, signs first. And I'm looking at him like, how?
she was like,
And of course, it was a legal document. Like, well, this is a shared amount that's gonna have to be paid between both of y'all. So I was just like, all right, like we'll figure it out. So he signs, I sign, and then when it came to time of payment, he just pulled out his credit cards and he's like, here, like we're gonna do this.
run this one, and this one, and the 50,000. I'll wire that shit right now.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I pay for it. I never asked her for money, but I just needed somebody to hold my hand, so I could take that leap of faith. And she was like, "Yeah, I'll do it with you," thinking that I was gonna ask her for money, but I was never going to ask her for money. So when I saw that, I was like, "Wait, she's willing to do this?" Like, even though she's only known me for what, a year?
It was a year, yeah. Then.
And I was like, "Damn." And like, it feels good. I say, man, you gotta have a partner that would do anything with you. Like, you, I say, man, you're the leader of the relationship. And if you have some plans and you know that not, it's a high risk, but at the same time, it has high rewards. And your partner, your wife, holds your hand and tells you, yeah, let's go, babe. I got you. Let's just do it. That gives you, as a man, a lot of confidence. So I was like, okay, yeah, I need this. I need more of this. And that's when I was like, okay, she's the one. So, anyways, going back to the thing, when I knew that she wanted to do nursing, I had quit my job because I wanted to become an entrepreneur, a wholesaler in real estate. I found out that was a lot of work. It was a lot. It was another job, basically. I decided to go back to work because I found out all the ways to finance properties, and not only that, I needed the money. So I because I needed to make sure that I was gonna be able to afford all the bills and all our lifestyle and everything. And we kind of had to give real estate a pause in a way. Actually, no, we were still doing it. We still bought 2 properties, but it was real. The money was real tight.
Very tight.
And we made a lot of sacrifices. And then I think that before you actually, like I said, there's levels in relationships. Before you can keep climbing those levels, you got to go through a lot of stuff. You got to make sure that you do sacrifices. You got to make sure that you support each other. You have to make sure that God is there with you. I think that's really important. We found that out. The moment we purchased the real estate course, we pray, we cry, and I think that's the first time that now I've been realizing a lot of stuff, and I've been realizing that God has been there for me, and we never know till
you look back
years later, decades later, you start finding out what God did, the things they did. But
yeah, because like there's times that I think back to our relationship and I'm like, how in the world did we do that? There's no way with our own willpower we could have done that. And many times, I mean, I even posted sometimes on Facebook and I'm just like, by God, because honestly, like even like doing it, we were like, there's no way. Like, even signing that 75,000, I was like, there's no way, but we're gonna find a way. And then now you think back of it, and we're like, it was like, what, a year and a half later that we paid it all off, and we're like, not by our own strength. There's no way by our own strength. Like, there was times that little miracles would happen, and Jose would be like, we need to go to church.
Yeah.
Like, I need to go to church today, and I have to thank God. There was times that money would come up, and I mean, we were suffering. Like, Analia was right there with us. Like, no one knows. Like, it's true when people say, like, no one knows what you're going through unless they're between your four walls, because literally our household went through some serious stuff that only we know as people.
Yeah, not anybody can
overcome
those struggles. It was tough.
Yeah.
Now that we think about it, right? But yeah, I mean, thank to God, we're Gucci. We're doing good. We're not doing bad. And I don't know. It's just for the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks, God just keeps answering prayers, and I'm like, whoa. And then I see how the future looks, and it looks like the snowball is getting some inertia, kinetic energy. It's getting big, so it's good. I'm excited about the future, and I wanted to do this podcast as well because, like, I don't know. I just want to show people that it is possible. We're not. A lot of people think that we are way ahead than them, and we're not. We're usually. I think there's a lot of people that are better positioned than us. They're just scared to make moves in real estate. I'm talking about real estate. But when it comes to relationships, yeah, I think we are a little advanced for our age, but
because we had to grow up
we had
very
to grow
young.
Up. And because God was there for us.
Yeah.
That's the main one.
Yeah. I think we had to grow up very young. I mean, I had my daughter at 18. Jose Luis moved out at 16. And I think that's made us forcefully grow up. So I feel like we're like 40-year-olds living in like 30-year-old bodies. But even then, we're still very fun. And we try to be as modern as we can be. But in our relationship, for sure, like, we know what we want. And I feel like people our age sometimes don't know what they want, or they still live in the scared. And I would hope that listening to us, if it gives you anything, it at least gives you hope, because I feel like when I talked to Jose Luis about this, we went to a Galentine's that, thank God, one of my friends that's in a very stable relationship invited me to, and there was all types of women in the room. I mean, single women, divorced women, people going through current divorces, women that are married. And you see all different infrastructures, like, in their lives, and like how they ravel in front of you. And because we're all within the same age group, it's nice to be in a room of women that are just genuinely happy. And I feel like because of social media, all you see is like memes or like music, just music in general. Like, I was born in 1993. So I think of back in the day when music was all about love. Like, you don't hear that. And when you're not constantly hearing hope in your ear, the world becomes very negative. And if you get, like I said, if you get anything from this, I would like for you to know that there's hope. Like, I'm a single mom. I mean,
no,
at least
not.
that was. At least it gives you. I was a strong single mom. I stood on my single momness when I met Jose Luis. So shifting that from like being a strong, independent woman to like letting someone take care of me, which can be a whole other podcast. But like, just know that like when we say like, not that we're advanced because we feel like we're superior to anybody, but like, I had to grow up very young. And like I said, like, if you hear any hope in all of this, it's because I was a single mom. I went through all of it, 2 abusive relationships, a divorce, like, just many stuff. And Jose Luis might not have such
my ex cheated with my cousin.
He said, I'm just gonna put it out there so you feel
blanca culera.
So it's like, it's not because we feel
I could have killed myself.
Stop. I know you could have,
but I didn't,
but
because God had a plan with me.
But yeah,
we'll find out.
Like I said, if you hear anything from this, it's hopefully hope that, like, if I can do this, if Jose Luis can do this, if my daughter, like, there's kids I know that watch stuff like this, and I'm like, if you could listen and hear anything, it's just hope in your ear, because my daughter is going through a lot of stuff that maybe your kids are going through, or kids that are listening to this. Like, your parents can drag you out of some rough areas, and if they can't, you be that person that can drag yourself out of it. Like, don't think you're ever someone that can't. Like, grab yourself by your wits and just do it.
Yeah, and another thing is that y'all have an advantage, right? Like right now, we're not. How can I explain it? Like, y'all have a lot of y'all. Well, most of y'all, the ones that are watching this, y'all actually have access to us. So that means that you can send us a message, or you can be like, "Oh, we're going through this. What do you think?" We can give you input. We're never gonna judge.
Yeah, if any of our friends know, like, we laugh about it, but we're like La Casa de los Divorciados, or like the breakups, because anybody that goes through a breakup, they come running to us.
I don't know why.
I know. Literally, I don't know why. Maybe because they're like, well, it's going to go one of both ways. They're either going to invite us out, or they're going to
take us to church.
Yeah. Or we do both. But the thing is, like, when it comes to us, we're a no judge zone. Like, my whole household is a no judge zone. Obviously, we live very outside of the box, and who are we to judge anybody if we've probably been through that or worse? So I've been a huge person that, like, this is like, who am I to tell your story? And I think many people don't get vulnerable because they're scared that someone else will tell their story from their point of view. And that's when it becomes unfair. There's betrayal or friendships broken, and we're just not that kind of people, because I'm not the person to tell your story. Like, I will take your story to the tomb, and if anything, lo chismeo was to Jose, but like, even them, like, it's coming from a place of love always. So that's just how our household runs.
So what questions do you think they should ask their prospect before they keep going with their relationship?
Well, mainly that, like, we did a whole video about, like, what's your values and why. Mainly the biggest reason is why. Like, why is that your value? Because like, if I go into depth and I tell you, well, my biggest thing is stability, that can come off as like, I just want your income. You know what I mean? Like, I remember you telling me, like, I hate when women used to ask me, like, hey, where do you work? But you have to ask that question, like, why do you want to know where I work at? You know, or why is your value stability? And maybe if I start blabbing about, like, well, because I've never had it, it comes from a different place than, like, well, because I don't want to work. You know what I mean? Like, you have to understand a person, not just because they're telling you, like, I want this, and they're going to stand on it. No, you have to be that person to ask why. Or, like, I think we talked about this when we talked about, like, alcoholism, like, in both of our families. One time we sat down and we saw one of our family members that's very, how can I say it? Like,
borracho.
Yeah, very borracho. And we were like, when we saw them being very vulnerable in one of their, like, pedas, I guess, we were like, I wonder if anybody sat with them and asked them, like, why?
Yeah, like
why they do that.
That's what makes me sad, because we, believe it or not, we study in a way, because we talk about it, human behavior. And then whenever something bad happens around our family members or friends, we ask ourselves, why do you think that's going on? And then it all goes back to traumas. Well, what do you think they've been through to make them be the way they are? And it's sad, right? Because we start understanding why they are who they are. And when you can only do so much to help them out, because at the end of the day, they gotta help themselves out first. But that makes me really sad to see that
Yeah.
we can only do so much.
Yeah. And I feel like that is a lot of, like, when we go back to our traumas, we're like, dang, no one asked us why we did that stuff, you know, like our bad behavior, let's say drinking, or like why I had such hard feelings for a certain person. Like, no one truly asked me, or no one ever sat me down and was like, why do you feel that way? They're just like coming from a judge zone, or they do the worldly thing, like fuck them, or they choose sides, and now it's like a Jose Luis versus whoever, or Angel versus whoever, and it's like, no, like, I'm hurting and you're not even being a good listener. So
yeah. Okay, well, I think that most of the questions, important questions for a relationship, is what are your goals? That's
Yeah.
one. Two.
One in like 5. I think you've sat me down a few times and like, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah.
And where do you see yourself in 10?
Money wise, what are your goals? What are your career goals?
Yeah.
Another question would be religion.
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Why? Because we're about to get married, right? In what? 10 months?
Wow.
Oh shit! Yes.
Dang.
No comprar vestido. 10 months, right? And we're raised Catholic,
Both of us.
but now we go to a non-denominational church. We have our reasons. I have my reasons, but we don't want to talk about it because not right now. But we can talk about it later.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a problem for families. Well, my family, my side of the family. Why? Because they're Catholics, like traditional Catholics. So they asked me, what are you going to do over there? And I was like, oh, we're going to have a spiritual wedding. So they think that we're going to be with brujos or something. ¿Qué es eso? And I'm like, espiritual. And I said, ¿y eso qué o qué? And I'm like, well, it's Dios, God, Jesus. I believe in God and Jesus. And I don't know. They just think I'm different, but I'm not different. We believe in the same stuff. I don't know. Well, that's one thing, right? So let's say your wife is, I don't know, ¿qué son las religiones? Jews,
Muslims.
pues que no sé cómo se dice en inglés. Muslims, ateos, testigos de Jehová, Jehovah Witnesses.
Yeah, Jehovah's.
And you're Catholic, you might be non-denominational, you might be an atheist.
Yeah, Christian.
You might not believe in anything, and your partner does. And you have to learn how to. First you gotta pick, or you gotta choose
if
you want to be there
yeah.
or not. If you're okay with it, and two, you gotta learn how to respect that. That's
for sure.
That's really important. And then that's from the religious side. Then another good question is, do you ever plan on getting married or having kids?
Yeah, the kids question is a huge one because I feel like the older I get, the more I hear my friends say like, oh, I'm done. Whether it's they're remarried or they don't have kids. I hear so many of them talk about like, oh, well, I mean, I voiced to him that I don't want kids, but he still says he wants one or two. And in my head, I'm like, so y'all haven't agreed? Like, y'all are like 2 years in, girl. What are we doing? Like, so it's just that can be a rough conversation. Or like some of my friends, and I'm talking about my friends are like in their 30s, and some of them are like have one kid and they want like 7, and their husband's like, I wanted that. I thought I wanted that, because like we said, you grow with your relationship and you have to shift in the way you think and the way based off of experiences, right? So like, let's say one of them will have one child and they're like, oh, we tried it and I thought I wanted 7, but now I just want 2.
Yeah,
but then they're not in agreement with that. Like, they've had one, and one had one experience. The female's like, I love this, I want to do this again, but the man's like, I had to pay for everything.
That's a goal shift, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Like shifting. So you got to keep talking about it. Like, Angel went back to school. She graduated. She has her BSN.
Yeah.
Bachelor in Science and Nursing.
Cuelga mi certificado, lo que es así.
And so she got that, right? And we had talked about having kids. Anyway, so we go back to goals. My goals were buy a house, get married, and then have kids. I've always thought about that since I was teen. No, like around high school, young adult. And well, now I have the house. We have the house.
I told you.
She wanted to go back to school. She went back to school, and we had talked about having kids. So I cannot tell her, well, you gotta give me a kid. Why? Because I'm still not married. That's one. And I think I owe it to her in a way, and I owe it to myself. Why? Because that was one of my goals, right? To be married before I have kids, and after I have a house. Now we have a house. She graduated. I can't tell her to have kids. We gotta get married, of course. So we're getting married in January. We don't die. I mean, if God wants us to get married, right?
I can't.
And then after that, then we might shoot for a kid. But the thing now is that she wants to go back to school. So this is really, we might fight over this right now.
We haven't
But
fought about it. I think
that's a shift. That's a shift.
Yeah.
Because why? Because me as a man, like we go back to the same thing. I want to support her in her dreams, in her goals, right? But at the same time, I cannot like we go back to the same thing. I wanted to be married before I have kids, so I gotta get married. So that's why I haven't been pushy about it, and I can't. I shouldn't be pushy. I should just go and talk about it and be honest about it and express my feelings and my thoughts. So once we get there, we'll talk about it. But she wants to go back to school. So me, myself, and I was thinking, okay, well, should I wait again? Or because how long are you going to be going to school for?
3 years.
3 years. So should I wait an extra 11 months from... Oh, so...
We were rudely interrupted by Jose Luis's bad setup.
No, we don't.
Did it die? You have to look at yourself?
No, nomás quería ver si está prendido o no.
Okay.
Oh. Pero, ¿en qué nos quedamos? So, we were talking about...
my shift in careers. So, yeah, I am a very, like, up-to-date person. Like, I want to know where we're at probably at least once a month. So sometimes I have to, like, redirect a question. And like Jose Luis was talking about the kids thing. It's been a very rough topic for us because when I first started dating Jose Luis, he was like, I want 5 kids and I stand on what I say. And I was like, I have 1 and I don't even want the one I have. So just kidding. I was on like very different terms, but like we've said many times, you grow and you shift gears, and I'm a very up-to-date person where I want to know where your head and your headspace is at and if your goals have shifted, because things happen in life and you have to know how to adjust to your partner, especially if you love them, and especially if you know that that's the person you want to be with. You want to be up to date on those goals. And when it came to the child topic, it's been shifted for me. I don't think I've ever been more excited to be a mom again. I don't feel like I would ever be this excited or this comfortable to touch even the thought of being a mom again with anybody else. And I feel like only growing with Jose Luis through this relationship, I have been able to be open to the topic and even the thought of being a mom again. So I feel like this is one of the most common topics we talk about because of my career and because of my insecurities, that we constantly talk about, like, hey, well, this is where I'm at headspace. What do you think? And like Jose Luis said, he's not pushy about it because he knows why I'm so insecure about it, and that could be a whole other video. But I feel like he's respected that, and because he's respected that, I'm open to the conversation again, and I'm now actually genuinely excited because here I am so many years later still with the same person, and I'm like, why not? You know, he doesn't have kids, so it's an awesome topic just to see us fluctuate and shift around, and he does want to see me pursue my goals in my career and just see me flourish to be this person that I want to be, and because he knows why I want to be this person. And yeah, the motherhood topic is just exciting now. We see it as an exciting point of view, and it's not that it's not ever not going to happen. It's just fitting it into our timeline and our goals. And a kid is a huge goal for both of us now. So it's just not that it fits into our timeline. I feel like God's going to give it to us when we least expect it, and we least like,
because
when we least expect it.
You're never ready for a kid or anything. It's just, I guess, you try your best, but you're never going to be ready.
Yeah.
Also, ¿qué voy a decir? Ya se me olvidó. Keep going. Ya se me olvidó.
But yeah, just being the up to date kind of person, because like sometimes I'll be like, hey, like for example, I was planning on applying for my doctorate's degree in 2025, and then here comes Jose Luis November asking me to wanting to marry him, and I'm like, well, now that I think about it, I want to enjoy my engagement year. I've never had such a serious and stable relationship. I want to have the bachelorette thing and invite my closest friends and pick out a dress and like share those very special moments that I'll probably never share with, hopefully I'll never share with anybody else again. And no, I won't. But the thing is,
what would she even mention it, right?
well, because it's a thing that, I mean, it's not my first marriage, obviously, because I've said it, but I didn't experience these things, and I want it now more than I wanted it ever. So I'm like, this is a year that I want to enjoy with him, and it's my last year with my daughter, like as a single mom, and we've said this me and Nani many times. So it's just like a year of travel with her, and yeah, there's a lot of things. I just want to enjoy this year of engagement and being a fiance for a whole year. And then I was like, well, then that moves my career goals of applying to doctorate school till 2026, and I'm okay with that. And I had to voice that, like that was a shift in like all our thought process. So then he was like, so kids, like, so where does kids fall in that? And those are hard topics that
need to be
answered, and yeah, and they need to be brought up, because maybe he's on a different timeline than I am. And it's like when he decided to ask me to marry him, I'm sure he thought about all of this stuff before. Just like once I was asked, I was like, oh shit, like dang, this shifts everything, and not that I wasn't expecting the question, or I was or wasn't, or like, it's just like there's times that you just have to adjust, and you have to tell yourself it's okay if I'm the only, like in my situation, the only 35-year-old going to a doctorate's degree. Like, that's fine. Like, or I'm gonna be a 35-year-old mom, or I'm gonna be a 30-something-year-old mom. Like, it comes with insecurities, and there's a lot of questions behind it. And like I said, people have to ask you, why does that make you insecure? Why does that make you unsafe? What are you worried about? How can I make you or reassure you? And having Jose Luis as that person to just constantly reassure me, like, it's okay, babe, like you're gonna be 35 and have a kid, or if you're 32, like I'm gonna accept it either way. But we're both clear on like a kid is gonna be a goal, and it's no longer like not a topic, or like that I'm scared to say, like, I don't want to have a kid, like. And then with our families, the one last thing, like with our families, of course, like Jose Luis said, like his family is very Catholic and they stand on what they are and what their religion is. It was like, okay, well now, like a kid, like, like there's those families, and constantly talking about like, these are our values, and if they're shared between us, we have to know what we share and what we don't share, and why we don't want to share it, just respect both of our insecurities, and like defend each other also when you're trying to be vulnerable, and know when not to be vulnerable, and set those high boundaries. Because like, I know Jose Luis's insecurities, and if someone's going to talk about them out loud, I want to be that person to be like, no, don't touch that subject, because this is my person, and I'm not going to allow you to hurt them.
But I'm thinking I'm overcoming those insecurities.
For sure. Me too.
Thanks to God.
Yeah.
Because I went through a retreat, and I overcame a lot of, or I got questions answered that needed to be answered.
For sure.
Which was awesome. And now it's just about I mean, now it just hurts me that some people will never change, and I understand it, but it is what it is.
Coming to acceptance with that is a huge
I'm
thing.
accepting life.
Yeah.
Anyways, ¿qué te voy a decir? Oh, so if you have any questions, for instance, if you want to comment below, ¿sí se dice below? Abajo?
Yeah,
below.
comment below.
If you want to comment below and comment about what is it? What's one thing that you want to tell your partner, or you want to talk to your partner about? ¿Qué más pueden comentar?
Yeah, like just ask questions about like topics that you would like for us to talk about. I mean, I feel like me and Jose Luis are an open book. Me more than him on social media. I post our real estate ventures. I post not so much about my daughter, but hey, if that's a topic y'all want to talk about, I'm open for that. I feel like a huge of our insecurities, well, my insecurities was like being judged, but I feel like I have built a strong backbone now to be able to take on those comments and those difficult conversations. But if y'all want to have them, like, this is the area and the place to do that. I feel like a lot of us can deal with similar situations or insecurities that if we can be once again that voice of hope in your ear, I would love to do that. We would love to do that and just give y'all hope that there isn't a perfect couple, but it's still possible.
Yeah.
And any questions, any life circumstances, I mean, there's people out there that know our true story, knows Jose Luis in a personal level, knows me on a personal level, and there's situations that y'all can probably have questions about, and I'm open to have those as we develop this podcast. Let this be just a live stream. We could talk about life, career, real estate,
everything.
Yeah, traveling. How do we do
not
it?
everything, right? But like, for instance, when it comes to relationships, we can talk about everything that goes into a relationship, because pretty much everything goes, right? Family, money, careers, goals, kids.
Yeah, Analia, also, that's another topic that for me was a huge insecurity. My parents is another huge insecurity, but those are all topics that I feel like I'm strong enough now to talk about them. And this is a great platform to share those stories with people that are going through vulnerable states and very hard situations, that we can just cope with it together. I mean, I could give you my feedback on how I went through difficult situations and how I overcame them. Jose Luis can do the same on his behalf. So like we said previously, this is a non-judgmental. All of our comments and what we've said here, I would hope that y'all believe that it comes from a place of love always. And like I said, we're willing to share those stories and just be that voice of hope again. But we would like to close with that, right? Do we have anything else to say?
We should, like,
I think you wanted me to post that. I have been doing this. How often do you want to do a podcast?
Every week.
Okay, so we could do this like every week, unless I work on a Sunday. We could do this weekly. But Jose Luis wanted me to post on my stories if anybody had any questions, so I can go ahead. One of the questions was, what's your next trip you guys are taking? Where and who are y'all taking?
Oh, we're going to Cuba.
We leave Friday.
Friday.
We leave the 1st to the 5th.
And we don't want to say it a lot because I'm going to post this on YouTube and I don't want them to send me to jail.
But
we're going to Cuba.
And we're taking our daughter.
I was thinking about not going, but then I realized that I have to go, one, because I want to see how fortunate we are to be here in the United States. Not only me, also now Nalia. I want her to see that
we're very privileged.
And that the world is big, and not every single human being has the possibilities that we have. And I think, she has seen Mexico, but I think that Cuba is on another level. And but we'll talk about more
once we're there. And once we've experienced it, we want to see, and probably we'll blog it once we're there.
Yeah, probably.
Hopefully. Yeah, we'll see how much camera they'll let us share with y'all. But like we said, this will be another platform. Hopefully I could keep up with it, because I say one thing and then do another.
Yeah, but like we have another video that she needs to do a voiceover.
I will do that
for venues. And like we just want to document our life in a way. Yeah. That way, I always say it. I say it on my own YouTube channel. You want to look me up, Jose Luis Cruz Contreras. But like, I just think about the future, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, right? Whenever we get to have grandchildren, and you tell them, go look up my name and look at the videos, look at the way I used to think, and those videos can be helpful for generations and generations, because everything's getting documented.
Very, very true. But we'll leave y'all with that. Thank y'all for following us. Like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification button so y'all know when we upload our next little rants on here. Thank you for all the love and support from
Any questions,
Angel.
anything, comment below. That way we have more ideas to talk about. But as we go, we're going to be talking about life experiences. This was our first one. I think it went pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Same.
And I'm being authentic.
Yep.
I'm not faking it.
Like always.
It's just that I speak Spanish. I speak more Spanish than English, and I got more jokes in Spanish.
Oh my God. Thank you guys. Thank you for following, love and support. Thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Bye. Hasta la próxima.